Hi, thank you so much for watching. So, I have been a little nervous about just telling you all about the night that everything happened, January 19th. But I just know that I need to share not only what I went through, but hopefully, if you stick around to the very end, you'll get a better understanding as into why. So we were waiting for Matthew to get on, and he was the next one to perform. So sorry, somebody's calling me. I'm so sorry. As we are standing, Brittany's on my right, Kim is on my left, Alex is standing sort of in back of me and Kim, and my brother and Jules was on the other side of the place, and then my two boys were towards the entrance. And we see a group of just kids coming from the back end of the building, and my first thought was, wow, there's going to be a good crowd to hear Matthew perform. And as we're waiting, I hear two shots, but my mind is still trying to process what I heard. And I remember thinking, I wonder if that's part of the performance. Then after that, I hear a pause and then just a bunch of gunshots after that. I think I was hit around the third or fourth round. And I remember just falling, and Brittany was holding me, and I could hear everybody running, and I just saw a whole bunch of smoke. After no more shots were heard, and I'm looking around, I see Alex in the corner laying on his side. And in that moment, Brittany tells me, I need to go to Alex. He's hurt. And in that moment, I understood. And of course, I'm in excruciating pain. And I just remember just seeing Alex lie there still. And I wanted so bad to get up and be with him. But my pain was so intense. So Brittany got up and I laid on my back. And I remember staring at the ceiling thinking, I'm gonna die. And I didn't even know if my boys were okay. So I started yelling for Matthew. And I kept yelling for Matthew, and I didn't hear anything. And I could hear a mother crying in the back of me, asking someone to save her son. And I'm lying there thinking, I'm going to die here. And I remember thinking of my husband. And I remember thinking, I want to make sure my boys are okay. Then I see a man approach me, and I don't remember his face. But he kneeled next to me, and he grabbed my hand. And he asked me if I was injured, and I said yes. And he said, are you here alone? And I said no. And out of all questions to be asked, he asked me if I knew Jesus as my Lord and Savior. And I remember saying yes. And I remember feeling this peace, because I knew if I was going to die, it was going to be okay. But I remember thinking about the boy in the back of me and his mother crying. And I remember telling that gentleman, I know him, but I don't know if the boy in back of me does. Please go to him. And so the gentleman got up and went to that boy. I don't know if he ever got to him on time. And as I'm laying there, I just remember saying, Jesus, help us. Jesus, help us, is all I kept saying over and over. My brother comes to my side, and I remember looking at him, and I don't know why, But I told him, I'm okay, John. Go to Alex. And he was so torn because, of course, he wanted to be there with me, but he just knew he needed to go to Alex too. So he left my side and went to Alex. And then my sisters came next to me, and I remember Jules just having this look of disbelief. I think we were all in shock. And she kept saying, God, why? God, why? That's all I kept hearing from her. And my sister Kim was trying to comfort me. And of course, once she told me that the boys were okay, I needed to talk to my daughter. And I wanted to tell her that I loved her so much. So I called. Kim called. And I told my daughter to take care of her brothers. I told her to take care of my mother. And I told her to take care of Josiah. And I just remember thinking, I hope that everything's going to be okay with my kids. And I knew that everything was going to be okay with my kids. I really did. I can't explain the peace I had, but I knew they would go to be okay. And what felt like an eternity, the cops finally arrived and we were taken. And the next thing I know, I'm waking up and I see Marcus standing next to my bed. And the first thing that comes out of my mouth is, how's Alex? And I remember looking at his face. And he looks down. And he shakes his head. And he tells me that he didn't make it. And I just remember losing it and crying at the top of my lungs. The nurses, of course, go in and they decide to put me in a private room due to the circumstances. And all I could think about was Brittany. Because I know that pain of losing someone you love and not expecting it. And I wanted to be there with her to comfort her, but I couldn't. So I remember I just saw two of Matthew's friends, God bless them, standing next to my bed. And I pretty much cried myself to sleep. The next morning I wake up and thankfully my daughter flew in. And it led to where I am now, healing day by day, thanking God every day that I have another day to live. And I pray as you're watching this that you realize how really, really time is a gift, and that you really don't know when your last day would be. I never expected that not only would I be shot, but that Alex would go. So what I ask you is, do you know Jesus as your Lord and Savior? And I know so many of you will probably just dismiss this, but I pray you don't. I pray that something in your soul tugs at you and just helps you realize that you're not watching this by coincidence, and that God does truly love you no matter what. Don't confuse God with what others do, because God is pure and God is love, and Jesus paid it all for us. And I know Alex is in a good place, and I will leave with this, because my brother, as he was with Brittany, trying to help Alex fight through, Alex couldn't talk anymore, but he could hold a hand And my brother told me he could nod his head and blink his eyes. And my brother asked him, "Do you know Jesus as your Lord and Savior, Alex?" And Alex nodded his head yes and blinked his eyes. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, I will see Alex again. By the grace of God, he was saved. And I can't wait to see his smiling face. And I thank you all for watching. And I pray that no matter where you're at in life, that you do open your heart to Christ. Thank you so much for watching. To God be the glory. Bye-bye.